Welcome back to Sportsbeat. Today is September 15th, and we are recording episode number 28. I am Rob Drumm, and I am joining you from StreamYard because work takes me fun places, and politics is fun, they say. However, we have the man with a plan, Dave Warner, in mission control, so to speak, which is kind of funny today because
today's the day to be in mission control.
Absolutely. So I'm in my home office here, and behind me I'm watching the SpaceX Inspiration 4. They're launching the 4 civilians in space. They're going to do their 3-day little tour in space and all that kind of fun stuff. And I know we're both space nerds, so I find this stuff is just cool as cool can be. So kind of funny.
So yeah, I should have had that on instead of your promo thing.
Yeah, you know what
we could have done that.
You should have put a picture of my face behind you on that because it'll really start selling and will be canceled in 2 weeks. So.
Really?
Yeah.
FCC will be after us.
Indecent exposure on the free airways.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's new? I mean, we're in full weather. I know you got some football in. We'll cover that for high school. You haven't got your lighting situation fixed though yet, have you?
Oh, let's not even go there about it. I just want to disparage the new lights.
What we should do is we should get Bart Tooley from Little Falls School District on, and we just berate him for 15-20 minutes as our guest as to why the lights.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, high school lighting, they're not going to put a ton. It's not an NFL stadium, right? And so the lights are beautiful out there. It makes it great to play, but
sure.
I mean, they're not putting them in for photographers or videographers. No. They're not intended for us. But what they don't realize is that the shutter speed you have to shoot at for, football in order to capture, to stop the motion.
Yep.
I mean, I literally shot 1,000 images at Friday night's game, and I had about maybe 50 that I could choose from, and I chose 30. I mean, that's horrible odds. And I mean, part of it is if you're shooting high school football, you don't have, the top of the line equipment sometimes either as well. So, okay, if I told Bart, I was standing on the sideline, I said, if I spend another $13K, I said, I would get a higher percentage of better images. I said, I would also be single again, and I'm not sure that's a good trade-off. So
your poor wife.
Yeah, that'd be like the last straw. It's like not another $13K in a photography equipment.
And I mean, I'm not to your level of photography, but I have a camera in case I need it. I know once a year with Scott, we're on the hockey club here in the Valley, and we have a golf tournament coming up. And one of the things I do is I go around and take pictures for that. And I've got some friends who are photographers yourself. It gives me pointers and stuff like that. And I don't do it for any type of compensation or anything, but even looking at some of the cameras and stuff like that, even I'm introductory barely level, if you can call it that. And I was looking to possibly upgrade because some things are a little cheaper right now, not everything by any stretch, but even to get something where you're in solid middle ground, you're still looking at tons of money. And even like you said with that, you have to account for the lighting and everything like that. I really give it up to people like yourself or like the photographers or stuff, because if you want to really do a decent job, you're looking at 5 numbers of a price tag to make sure you have the gear that you have. And that's just crazy to me.
Yeah. I mean, at this level, typically I don't need like a Canon 1DX Mark III or something like that, which is the body is $6,500. People don't understand that. But however, because most of the sports has been daylight, or really cloudy or rainy out there, or whatever. And I can make what I have work. But when you go under the lights like that, because everybody's excited, it's Friday night football under the lights. There's an image with that, right?
Yep.
That's great. It works for the kids. They can see it's light enough out there, but then it makes my life tougher because that $2,400 camera body that I have doesn't cut it.
Yep.
And it's like, okay, so I can upgrade. There's a new one out that's better under low light, whatever. All right, well, that one's another $2,500, but then it's like, okay, then the adapter that you need to use all your current lenses hasn't been available for like 8 months now. So, I'm not buying all new lenses.
No.
So it's like, and then they just came out with a new Canon R3 today, which is $6,000 for the body. So that would be a nice camera,
Sure.
But then it requires a nice lens. That nice lens is about $6,500.
And
So
and now you're looking at 12, 13,000
there,
all
and
told. Yeah.
there's where I came up with the 13K. You throw the tax in and you're off and running.
Crazy.
So, and that's
Part of
why I would
part of
be
me
single
wonders,
again.
part of me wonders, and you and I are both, we understand tech to a very good degree, especially now. But part of me wonders what would happen if we went like back and just started using the old film ones that they had from way back when. And I say that kind of jokingly because I know there was issues that you could do, but you would figure with
Yeah.
the technology and the ability to upgrade firmware. And I know we're getting off on our nerd tangent here, but
That's okay. We're all right. We're good. If people are
exactly.
bored, maybe they don't know. I mean, they're interested in sports, but they don't know the challenges of actually capturing the
Right.
video and the imagery that everybody loves to see after a game. I just had one of the moms of one of the players from what we're talking about is Friday night's Little Falls football game against Canastota. And then I had one of the moms just text me and she said, my son's on defense and nobody ever takes pictures of the defense. It's always the quarterback and the, running backs and, wide receivers and whatever. And
Right.
she said, you focused on that. And I'm thinking, yeah, I did because I found a moment where they weren't moving.
Right.
And
Yeah.
because of the lighting, I pushed the button because, oh, good, somebody's standing around.
Right.
But yeah, it's a real challenge out there to get that imagery. And I mean, you look at the TV stations, for instance, there were two different TV stations out there Friday night. They were shooting and they stay about 30 minutes. They have to put together a 2-minute reel typically, which is probably got several schools in there. So 30 to 45 seconds of footage and, they go. So, and the cameras today, obviously what they bring out there is probably a little bit more expensive than what I have on the video side, although I'm not that far away from them with one of them. So I'm thinking about switching over to video just to see what I can do in that situation under the lights from a video standpoint. But then you're talking about, I'm trying to give people the essence of the whole game. I'm not trying to give them a 30-second clip. And so then the post-production on that becomes extensive because you've got an hour and a half of footage that you're going through to find the good clips and then put all those together into a video that you show people. Oh boy. So yeah, it's just how much effort do I want to put into it? It's not that, after you get the images back, there's not a lot of processing involved there. There is, but I can go through it a lot faster than the video.
Crazy. And cost ain't going down anytime soon with any of the newer stuff that they come out, it seems. So
yeah.
Well,
we could do a whole podcast on this. I used to. It was called Lens Flare 35.
Sure, we could. Yeah, but again, these are the things that and people like us understand because we're on the sidelines. We do, I do the stat side of things. You do the production side of things for the My Little Falls. People, these are the things that people don't think of, that you think you just walk onto the field and the game is going to happen. It's kind of like a play in Broadway. Nobody considers all the cast and the crew and costumes and the preparation that they've got in the planning. It's more than just the coaches making sure that they're there, and that's a big element, and we're obviously all there for the kids, especially at the high school level. But now people want those memories, as you've talked about, having a parent come to you, and it's just something that nobody thinks about.
Yeah. And so, she said, oh, you got several good images of my son. So, and I did happen to know that who he was and who she is. And so, when you know somebody and you can connect, you do sometimes make sure that you get the shot of their son or daughter out there playing sports.
Right. Well, speaking of high school sports, we're going to jump right into our press box segment here. We're going to start off with boys soccer, recapping over the weekend and into this week so far. Herkimer beat Remsen 5-0. Sophomore Kyle Carney records his first varsity hat trick. Herkimer improves to 1-3 on the season, and Remsen falls to 0-2 on the season. So congratulations to Kyle. OESJ blanked Fonda Fultonville with a score of 7-0. The Wolves scored 5 goals in the first half and then called off the Dogs for only 2. So that had to be I guess a fun game if you're OESJ and not so much if you're Fonda Fultonville.
Yeah, depends on what side of the ball you're on.
Exactly. Sequoia Valley beat Poland 5-1. This game ends a 12-game winning streak for the Tornadoes dating back to last year. So congratulations to Sequoia Valley and also to Poland. I mean, especially with everything going on. It's not fun that it's over, but cool that it happened. Hamilton beat Mount Markham 3-2 in an overtime game. That looks like it was a fun game reading the recap of that one. Frankfurt took down Adirondack with a score of 4-0. And another Fort Plain, we've got Fort Plain shutout Schenectady, Notre Dame, and Bishop Gibbons. That's a fun merged school district, 4-0. So I would hope that's Schenectady, Notre Dame, and Bishop Gibbons. I hope those are all the Albany versions, because if it's Notre Dame and Utica, that seems kind of crazy all over the place. But Dodgeville, jumping over to girls soccer, Dodgeville handed Herkimer a loss last night, 9-0. Rough game for the Lady Magicians. Emily Metz picked up a hat trick, with Gianna Lyons and Jakira Miller picking up 2 goals apiece. From being in the booth, I got to say, when you're down, and this goes for just about any of the other ones, especially when you're getting blanked out of the game, you can't just give up in the middle of a game, and you see it way too often. And I know it's discouraging when you get up 2-0, 3-0, and you're still in the first half someplace, but you got to regroup. And that goes to, everything. And I know it's discouraging. I've seen it happen. I've been there, but if you call it off, they're just going to score on you because they see that you're giving it up.
Yeah. Those Dodgeville girls play a real physical game. Those are some big girls. They can knock you around out there. Yep. So I'm sure, even though I wasn't there, I know how they play. I'm betting that was pretty physical.
Yep. And Herkimer girls tried, and they definitely put up the best fight that they could. But damn, Dodgeville's fast. Watching them clean breaks, what they do a ball, goalie would kick a ball in or something like that. It would bounce, and they're already gone. It's impressive to watch. Herkimer was in action over the weekend, and they did pick up a win over UAS with a score of 3-2. That was, again, over the weekend, and this was yesterday, so a full picture there. Fort Plain beat Sharon Springs 1-0 after scoring a goal in the opening minute of the match, and then handed out a shutout from there and over the weekend. And then last night, Oriskany handed a loss 11-1, so that had to hurt. The Tornadoes improved to 5-0 on the season, and they've outscored their opponents. And I forgot where I read this, but it stuck out as a stats guy. This season so far, in their first 5 games, they've outscored their opponents 26-7. That's impressive. That's impressive.
That's scoring some goals.
Yes, it is. That's putting some work in too, because and finishing off the girls soccer, we have the Old Forge Eskimos got their season off to a good start with a 3-1 win over Madison.
I just like the name Eskimos. It's kind of like,
so cool.
It's like the Kraken. It's at the same level.
Like the Kraken. in real world for today, Kim Tranter, who's the commissioner of elections, and I'm the other commissioner at the board in Herkimer. We were up in town of Webb today doing training for our election inspectors up there. And I got to tell you, it's been a while since I've been to Old Forge. What a cool community. I know everybody jokes and everything, but really cool community. They've got a bunch of stuff going on. It was very vibrant. Lunchtime, they were packed and everybody was bustling. Cool little place. I know they get a lot of crap for being in the tundra of snow and everything, but they do have a world-class skiing team. But it was a cool little reception that they did. So.
Yeah, but they're not Tug Hill, so
that's true. They don't need earth-moving machines for just snow.
Exactly. No, it is, and especially this time of the year where the leaves are turning.
Absolutely gorgeous.
They're really busy. So yeah,
gorgeous. And jumping to girls field hockey, Clinton beat Herkimer 3-0 with 2 goals scored in the first quarter, and Camden beat CVA 3-0. Just a recap of high school football from last Friday. I know we're in the middle of the week and we're pushing towards the next coming weekend's games. However, we haven't been back, so this is the first week that we've got them. So let's take a look. We've got CVA beat Marcellus 14-13. That was on the highlight reel in a lot of places over the week. That looks like a good game. So congratulations to CVA. Little Falls got a very nice win under the lights against Canastota, 34-28. You were at the game. Any good highlights from the game itself, other than pictures?
It was, other than we go back to that subject again. No, one of the most exciting high school games I've seen in a long time. About 4 minutes left in the game and they were down, and I mean, they just turned it around. Little Falls turned it around, and it was exciting as hell to be there and see that turnaround. They just never gave up.
Nice.
So, and I tell you what, that Canastota team was good. Yeah. I mean, they were good. That was some big boys out there. And But Little Falls, you watch them out there, and you're like, man, they're small. Some of them, they're getting picked up and thrown down, and they don't give up. They
Good.
don't give up. It was really good.
Well, it's a nice win to start the season, especially that's the start of their season at home, right? So
yeah,
cool. Take it. Sequoia Valley beat Bishop Grimes 42-24. I will know, and I haven't been able to fact check this out, but there are a couple kids on the Sequoia team that are from Frankfurt. Apparently, some of the upperclassmen that wanted to play football this year, they got scooped in with the Sequoia team. So good that they were able to do that with Frankfurt folding the program. So I've asked the question: should it be reported as Sequoia Valley / Frankfurt, or is it just Sequoia Valley? But just noting that here, and again, they picked up that win. Bishop Ludden handed Notre Dame a loss 68-10. That had to hurt. Skinny Atlas blanked out Clinton 50-0. That one hurt. And Sandy Creek beat Herkimer 20-18 in overtime. I was at that game out in Sandy Creek. Dave, you do the sideline photos for Little Falls as you're there, and I do stats for Herkimer. Great game. Herkimer's got a lot of a younger squad, I would say. We lost a lot of our seniors, but again, they got down, they scrapped back, they were able to tie it up. Coaches know what they've got to do to button it up a little bit and make the offense just a little bit more balanced. But what a great game. Overtime, it was kind of funny because with some of the changes, the coaches knew what the overtime rules were, but the refs were like not unsure, but they had to conference quick because it hasn't happened in a while. And last year with apparently, I don't know if there was no overtime rules, a lot of new refs that will note there as well. So overall, good game. Both teams scored in overtime. So it was 13-13, I think it was 12-12, something like that. I forget what it was. And going to overtime, Sandy Creek scored first. They elected to go for the 2-point conversion and they got it. And Herkimer went in to try to answer. They scored the touchdown, but they did not complete the 2-point conversion, and that was the end of the game. So really exciting game to watch. Not happy as obviously a Herkimer supporter, but still a great game is still a great game. So again, noting here, because it's being widely reported still, that the section is in need of refs at this point. There's nothing that you can really do for this year, but get into the training class and get certification. They're looking for refs, possibly for basketball as well. If that's something that interests you, reach out to your local athletic director as soon as possible, especially if you're interested in basketball or any other winter sport. There has been talk all over the area, whether it be at games or in the media, that there are only so many refs. And if they don't have refs for a game, the games are going to get moved to whatever other day of the weekend it is. So you're going to see some Thursday games. You're going to see more Saturday and Sunday games just because there is a shortage. So
as long as they're during the daytime, I'm good with that.
Why is that, Dave? You want to tell us?
I don't know. I mean, I think imagery right off the bat.
Right. The beautiful.
Don't care about these other problems.
The beautiful setting and the surrounding of the valley, the picturesque behind Little Falls. And right.
Yep.
So we're going to take a quick commercial break here, and we're going to come back and talk some college and professional sports on the other side.
Visit My Little Falls and stay connected with the latest news, information, and events in the city and the area. Our mission is to generate interest in the community and connect residents in a more meaningful way by facilitating deeper conversations about how these stories will shape the future of the Mohawk Valley. Join thousands of weekly visitors who stay up to date with feature stories, interviews, videos, our event calendar, and print publication, the Mohawk Valley Express. It's about timely local news for the community, keeping citizens informed about important issues, telling about the people who live and work here, and giving locally owned businesses the opportunity to reach a very targeted audience of locals and tourists alike. It's a whole new form of media-rich content developed specifically for today's mobile lifestyle and listeners. You can download our iOS app in the iTunes Store, listen to our country music streaming radio station, or sign up for a weekly newsletter. Stop by today at mylittlefalls.com. You'll be glad you did.
And we're back. I'll have to say, and one of the reasons I'm happy that I'm doing this, and we forgot about it last week, which is why we did that, was I've never seen what it looks like on this side. That looks pretty cool when that's the
Does
only
it?
thing. Yeah, it does. It really looks cool. So I'm
Well,
glad
I don't see it either. So
you've seen it enough times that you probably can quote the script and tell you
Oh,
exactly. Yeah.
yeah, I got it somewhere.
No, that I will say that is that kind of an eternal note for us, but that is pretty cool to see it on this side of the production. So
Yeah. Scott likes the music on that, especially the ending. He kind of gets off on that.
nice little crescendo, and yeah, we're back.
Whoa!
Yeah.
I mean, literally every week he says, "I just like that commercial." Now he's got me not wanting to change it.
No, it's good. It does a good job. I enjoy it too. It pains me to say this, but I got to agree with Scott on this one. Don't tell him I said that though.
Yeah, we won't.
Perfect. All right, so we're going to jump into college, and we're going to start with our Herkimer Generals. The women continue their blitz of a season they're putting together. They played Fulton Montgomery Community College, and they beat them 6-0. Kayla Supa scored 4 goals, 2 in each half. Kaylee Trott netted another 2 goals. The Generals now improve in 4-0 on the season. Herkimer is next on the road for 3 consecutive road matches. I believe, if I read it correctly, they're all at North Country Community College. So that'll be fun for them in the middle of the soon-to-be winter tundra.
Yeah, North Country.
Yes, it's properly named. It is properly named. Sticking with Herkimer over on the men's side, they were also in action again against Fulton Montgomery, and they handed them their first loss of the season with a final score of 3-0. Herkimer's match, which would have been today, has been postponed. Try to find out a reason why, to see if it was COVID impact, field, whatever with the rain, because I know we're getting some rain here in the valley today.
Yeah, I think it's probably serious weather out there.
Yeah, it's not a pretty day outside, but there was no reporting as to why, so we'll check on that, and if there's anything to report, we'll circle back next week. Utica College handed SUNY Potsdam a loss this week with a final score of 1-0. The game was a draw at half, and with 8 minutes left in regulation, Kayla Molchik, I think I may have probably screwed that up, as I usually do with names.
Yeah, you're good.
Picked up the go-ahead goal from 35 yards out, put it right under the crossbar over the goalie. Somebody, I forgot where it was, had a clip of that. Our friend of the show, Ray Biggs, made ESPN Top 10 Countdown with Scott Van Pelt the other night because of the coverage for that shot. Beautiful shot right into the friggin' goal. The goalie never had a chance. Never. I mean, it was a missile. It was a great shot. At Mohawk Valley men were in action in Jamestown, and they beat the Jayhawks 6-0. Eli Siddleby picked up the hat trick in the day's action, and looking at that, the recap that they had online, that was looks like it was a good game as well. So a lot of good soccer games. You know what I will notice here, especially because we're about to talk college football, and obviously there's fans in attendance, and this goes with high school as well. Been noticing that there's a ton more fans. And I enjoy that. Even at like last night, we, Into the Valley rode the 600 to a certain degree with the girls playing Dodgeville and Herkimer, and the stands were pretty well packed. I mean, not standing room only like days of old, but you can definitely see that usually where there's a couple dozen people, they're not. It's to the point where our parents club in Herkimer is doing a concession stand because it is an actual moneymaker, because people are going, which is a nice change of pace to see, because the longest time, and I know you've said it before, people weren't going to games. And so maybe one of the positives of COVID is that they know that this can be taken away pretty quickly. And it's nice to see the support for the teams, the players, the coaches putting in some hard work, regardless of what the outcome's going to be. So I'm enjoying that.
Yeah, it was the Canastota Little Falls game. The stands, while they weren't full, there was a large group of people there. And I tell you what, the Little Falls kids were making some noise. They had a huge block of them there.
Good.
And I tell you what, I was over there thinking my throat would be bleeding if I was like that these days. They were making some noise. And that, you know what? That fires your players up, and it has an impact.
I've got some family that coaches down south in the Texas, Oklahoma way. And obviously football is a much different thing at the level down there, high school.
Yeah.
But, when I think back in the days, even around here, when it was Herkimer and Ilion, I mean, home field used to mean something.
Yeah.
You were going into hostile freaking territory in some of these areas. And it's nice to see. I mean, it's not the total hostility of days of old, but it's nice to see that coming back where, students are there. There's a student section again. We had a little bit of one over here in Herkimer. I've seen a couple other ones at CVA as well at some of the games that I went to there. It's fun to see. It makes the game, it makes the pageantry a little bit more. So it's nice to see.
Yeah, I have. I was looking at one of the shots I took there to see if I could actually show this. Unfortunately, it doesn't show. It doesn't show what I wanted, but because it's showing the visitors Canastota area. But boy, I tell you what, it was a good crowd.
Good. Yeah. Not a bad thing to see. Not a bad thing to see at all.
Yep.
Jumping to college football, we're going to go to Utica College quick. College football is obviously alive and well. Just watch ESPN on Saturday morning, and it starts at like 8:00 in the morning and goes till 12:00 at night. And it makes me very, very happy. However, Utica College was picked up a nice road win in New Jersey against Keene State with a final score of 27-7. So that's pretty cool. So we're going to jump over to the NCAA D1. Dave's Longhorns forgot that there was a game this weekend, and he's wearing his Longhorns shirt, which makes me wonder how many tissues he had to do to, cry and put that on today.
It just dried. The whole shirt was wet.
Oh, I thought it was the rain. See,
no, perfect. It wasn't the rain. It was, I don't think they were ready for the SEC.
No. Playing Arkansas Arkansas won that game 40-21. Dude, I know you're a Longhorns and you had said that you reached out to your son. What the hell? Like, they went in and they were talking about that game. Everybody on ESPN for the picks at the beginning of the game said this was going to be their statement game. They were coming back. The Longhorns Network talked this game up a freaking ton. They did that huge freaking video promo that they did to try to pump people up.
Ranked 15th in the country. I mean, it was a lot of hype.
And didn't live up. Well, our Arkansas, I mean, they picked up the 20th ranking overall, which was a good consolation, I guess, for them because they showed up.
Yeah. No, they were pretty solid, I mean, I heard you thought that maybe at halftime they would have swapped quarterbacks and try something else instead of, later in the game like they did. But
I agree with you.
Yeah. Because you texted me and said, fire the coach.
I mean, and the thing is,
he just got there. Come on.
And I agree with that. And that was more reactionary to be like, what the hell am I watching? But the thing is it's different with Texas. That a lot of other places don't have is the school itself has its own network.
Yeah.
And so them losing the ability to cross platform with ESPN or ABC or Fox because now they're not ranked again.
Yeah.
And it's just, that's not really a good start. And I don't know. You can't get the coaching staff down there that gets it right.
I'll give them some time. There's optimism. There's optimism that they'll be able to pull it out. So we'll see what happens. I'm still gonna,
for that. Not national championship this year because of the way the breakdown is with only 4 teams, but you're hoping for that big bowl game. That's what they were talking about this week.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Yeah, who Paul Feinbaum was talking about how that they interviewed. They interviewed the coach, and he was talking about how they're going to use this as a regroup. Guys are hungry; they're pissed off with the way it happened. So maybe this is what lights a fire under their ass.
Well, in college, there's a lot to say when it comes to emotion. Yeah, it really does impact. So.
Sure. I'm a Bama fan. They played Mercer State. Don't even know why we're reporting this, except that the score is so low. And I say that more jokingly than not, but final score was 48-14. However, Nick Saban, the ultimate perfectionist that he is, was not happy with the win. I will agree with Coach Saban. It was a sloppy affair all day long. Some turnovers that were stupid, just some knuckleheaded crap that didn't need to happen, some flags for people losing their tempers and kind of stuff like that. So I say they won 48-14 and you think, oh, they rolled. And of course, Nick Saban's not happy because they didn't dominate, but just goes to show what kind of coach that man is. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely in the best way. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of Ohio State fans in this area. And this might be my favorite thing that I'm going to read
Don't
today.
do a Baltimore Orioles thing here. Don't go there.
No, I'm not going to do that. So I know, but there's a lot of Ohio State fans, many of whom I texted and got middle finger emojis back. However, I would just like to say Enjoy the New Year's bowl game, everybody. Enjoy the bowl game. Oregon came to play, and did they ever? Final score of that game was 35-28. While it looks close, wasn't close all day. Ohio State, pardon the expression, shit the bed. Lots of rumblings in Columbus about head coaching changes already. Urban Meyer, that's the biggest rumor. Apparently he's going to come back. I don't know why after one game at Jacksonville he would want to come back into the college world so quickly, unless they're going to offer him a boatload of cash and like a condo right on field. But that was what they were talking about, and I don't really know where that comes from. But
Twitter.
Sure, but what a horrible friggin' game! Like the Ducks just came and they wow.
Yeah.
And good for the Oregon Ducks. And thank you for beating Ohio State, because I hate them.
We need to send you some classes.
That's okay. One of my favorite things was when Baker Mayfield went to Ohio State for whatever game it was, and they won, and he planted the flag right in the middle of the field. And everybody was talking about how that's Bush League, and it was awesome. You lost on your home field. He planted the flag. He took over. Good night. Anyway, and then Notre Dame had a close call with unranked Toledo. Notre Dame squeaks by with a 32-29 win. I know ESPN and all the NBC, they're all hyping Notre Dame all the time. They've got that huge contract too. But again, what a weird year. Like Clemson's already out. Georgia is looking like they're going to be in the top contender as long as they can keep it. I mean, Alabama and Georgia are probably going to face each other for the SEC title. And again, we're talking week 2, 3 kind of stuff right now. So it's way early. Like the people trying to predict the Heisman, just shut up until mid-season. But
yeah,
but like Oregon, nobody expected them. Oregon, sorry, didn't look that they were going to be anything, other than a mid-major kind of thing. And they came in right into Ohio State and they landed punches all day long. So cool year. Again, college football, you never expect it. And it's awesome to watch sometimes. So jumping over to the NFL, we had the opening weekend there, a lot of pageantry. We were pretty happy about the Thursday night game, at least seeing our Dallas Cowboys and Dave's savior, who is Tom Brady. I will say this, and again, I'm not the typical Cowboys fan of 1995 screaming, "We're going to the Super Bowl." However, for all the hype and everything, I still think we overpaid for Dak, but Dallas did not look bad.
Yeah.
One of my coworkers and family and friends were at the game in Tampa Bay. Great game. I had texted a few people. I can't remember if I texted you.
You did not.
So it was whatever it was when they scored. It was around 140. I think it was like 136.
Get the bad part of this, right?
Yeah.
So I was shooting girls soccer that night.
Okay.
And so I told my wife, as soon as I come home, remind me to turn on Tampa Bay and the Cowboys. I get in there processing images. Never remembered the game. You need to text me.
Sorry, that's
I woke up the next morning like, no.
So you checked the score. Yeah.
I checked the score and I was like, okay. See, you know what that no was, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. It was projecting Brady. So, and I won't name anybody or any team, but I did see someone who was a quarterback who wears 12 do the same thing Friday night at the high school level.
There you go. There you go. I know.
So I know somebody was watching that game.
Yeah. And the thing is that and he's 43 or 42. I think he's 43, and everybody compares him to being the oldest to do it and everything like that. They had the after pictures of post-game press conferences of Tom Brady to Aaron Rodgers to Drew Brees on the broadcast. Brady looks like he's 20.
He does.
He looks younger than I do. And it's absolutely freaking ridiculous. And I'm 31 years old, but I texted a group of people when Dallas scored the field goal or whatever the hell it was. And it was 1:36 left on the clock. And I think they had 2 timeouts. I said, Brady's about to run a 2-minute drill on our ass. And Jesus Christ, he picked them apart like it was nothing.
I know. I'll decide to wake up now. Now I'll watch the highlights. Yeah, it was depressing.
And good for him for doing it, but because I'm a big Bruce Arians fan, and I don't hate Brady. Anybody that thinks that he's a scrub is an idiot and needs to just shut the hell up because they know nothing about sports. But
They're
happy
just
that
jealous. They're
yeah,
just jealous.
not happy our Cowboys lost, but they looked better than expected. Dak's
Yeah.
got it together. I still have some worries about Mike McCarthy with the coach. Some really stupid calls in that game. I know it's way too early to say this, but Mike McCarthy's got to go, or they need to find a new coach, or just give it to Kellen Moore. He's lost the locker room, especially with how he's not doing stuff, and it just. I'm not a fan of the coaching, but overall, no moral victories in football because it's still a loss on the record. But I'm okay with the Cowboys, and I think that they'll be okay down the season. And we play in a shit division, so one game doesn't matter.
Well, if they do well, play well, there's nothing to be upset about.
Right.
I mean, you're upset that you lost, but you know what? You didn't look bad on the opening night game.
Yep. And I'm gonna go full nerd. I mean, space is the theme of the day, and it was an episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation, and Patrick Stewart's Captain Picard once said, one of life lessons is you can play a perfect game and still lose. And they didn't play a perfect game, but that's still the thing. You can play a best game possible, and you can still find yourself on the losing end of a game, and that's a good life lesson. So
it's just sad that I watched that show too, and yet I could never quote anything from it.
That's because you're not as much of a nerd as I am.
I will accept that.
Yeah, I'm pretty much a geek. If I didn't have sports, I'd probably have a pocket protector. So that's all right. So we're going to go over to baseball here quick. In the AL East, the Rays continue to command that division. We've got a three-way tie. Yankees, Blue Jays, and Red Sox all tied up at 9 games out. So that's going to get interesting as we head into the last weeks of regular season. Wild card way up for grabs. Last teams in the wild card playoff spots it's just going to be mayhem. And I've only mentioned 4 teams. Oh, wait, the Orioles, they continue to be irrelevant to the point where they're only able to now play the spoiler with the division 43 and a half games back. Unbelievable. There it is. Jesus.
Oh my God.
Farm Team USA over here. Over in the NL East, the Braves hold first place again this week, and the division has moved. Last week when we talked, there was some very close, upper connection between. Now there's some games in between there. So the Phillies are in second place at 4.5 games back. The Mets are still holding third place, but now 5.5 games back. Marlins move up into the fourth place spot in that division at 16 games out, and the Nationals are now in last place at 17 games out. I believe at this point, and I'm making probably a guess, but rooted in decent fact, Marlins and Nationals, I think, are out at this point. And I think obviously the Orioles are out, but I think if there's 2 more losses by either the Yankees, Blue Jays, or Red Sox to a division opponent, they're automatically eliminated because of the schedule that's left. And everybody's talking about playoff bracket and, what scenarios are out there. So it's getting to that time of football or baseball. So postseason's coming. It's right there. Yeah. Formula One was in Italy at Mazzala and for the Italian Grand Prix, and Daniel Ricciardo took the checkered flag there with Lando Norris in second place and Valtteri Bottas picking up in third. The race was not without incident, however. While coming out of the pits, Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen, the top 2 drivers in the points, collided. Hamilton said Verstappen didn't give him enough space. Max was in first place at the time. Max didn't agree with that, saying that he didn't have to, and they were both racing hard for what was going to be an eventual win for one or both of them. Either way, many of you have seen the picture of Max's car on top of Hamilton's, and it just goes to show you so many people. I remember, and I wasn't really a Formula One fan hardcore until a couple years back, just because I picked it up and I fell in love with the pageantry and just loved the tech behind it. And so many people were bitching and complaining when they added that headgear aspect around that went over the driver's heads and said, oh, it's not the racing and the race purists and everything. That safety bar that was there saved his life, period. End of story. There. I mean, watching it in live in real time, if that area wasn't on top of the cockpit, it would have taken his head off because the spoiler came in first and kind of grazed it. And then the front tire on the whichever side it was totally over that area, and Hamilton ducked. And the amazing part to me is he just walked away.
I know, it's just crazy.
And that picture was all over sports media and media in general worldwide because it's Formula One. And the people that are, I understand safety and purism and everything. And, Scott and I and a couple of the guys in our fantasy always argue about the replay in baseball, but especially when it comes to racing, these safety measures are there to protect drivers, and people who complain against them. If they're still complaining after seeing that race, you can go home now.
Yeah. Yeah.
NASCAR star Martin Truex Jr. take the win. He punches his ticket for the next stage of playoffs, joining Kyle Larson. There are 2 races left in this stage, so crazy driving is on deck this weekend. They're in Bristol for the Bass Pro Night Race, which starts at 7:30 on Saturday. Drivers are going to start getting desperate. You've got all of them that are racing in the full field, plus the people that the only way you're going to get in is either points or punching a ticket. So here we go again.
There we go.
Yep. I will say in NASCAR, Kyle Stevens has some great pictures of the race on his Facebook for the racing stuff that he does. And Tyler Head down in Georgia, they have ripped the entire track at the Georgia International Speedway out. They've regraded the track, and it looks like they're getting ready to pave the track.
So where's your piece of the track? I thought you had some coming your way.
No, that was going to Kyle because Tyler.
How come you didn't get a piece?
Yeah, no, I'm not that special. That's okay though. At this point, with how much crap I have in my grandparents' house, I'm on dumpster number 3, and I've thrown away 15 tons worth of garbage and crap and just stuff that they've saved. And the worst part is that you wouldn't classify them as hoarders. So I'm good with nothing.
Okay, all right.
We'll end with this. The 9/11 recaps were all over all weekend. I don't know. I know I had said last week about the boat lift. I know you watched that. Pretty cool stuff out of
awesome.
Vice News.
Yeah.
And you never think about it. 9 hours they evacuated over 500,000 people out of the island of Manhattan, and the largest maritime evacuation of people. The pageantry was all over the place, whether it be down at Ground Zero, college sports all day long had it, NASCAR had it. Anything stick out in your mind that you saw, at least specifically? I know you did some 9/11 ceremonies as well over the weekend.
Yeah, we did some great stuff here. There was police and fire kind of memorial service at 9 a.m. And then some Elks Club motorcycle riders came in, and even the library had a great display. There's a organization, a 9/11 organization, that has like traveling displays of books and posters and things, and they had that up. And then at 1 o'clock, there was a memorial walk down at Rotary Park here in Little Falls, and that was extremely well attended and came off without a hitch. It was just the weather was perfect.
Yep.
Mayor Mark Blaskier had talked about he didn't know what a cobalt blue sky was, which was what they had said that day. And he said, in his remarks, he was talking about how I looked up today on the way here, and he said, I imagine the sky today was very much like it was on that day.
Nice. Just it's still crazy to me. It's my generation's JFK moment. Everybody remembers where they were. And I did a podcast with my friend Seamus Campbell and Ben Cohen from the political world, that they do a podcast, and I was their guest, just recapping 9/11, what we saw, changes in our country kind of thing. And it's crazy to think that it was 20 years ago. I've got a couple friends who lost family members in there, and to some degree it feels like it was just yesterday. And then looking at it and the things that have happened between now and then, it seems like a lifetime ago at the same time. It's weird. Yeah. The paradox of time.
Well, and the sad part of that is I remember where I was when JFK was shot.
Right.
So that kind of dates me a little bit.
There you go. But the pageantry, obviously well-deserved. We have to, remember that and come together. And one thing I think that's important, especially today, and not so much sports related, but life related, is 9/11 sucked, right? There was nothing good that happened that day. It was a painful day for our country, but I vividly remember, and I pray that we can come together as a nation at some point where we can be like this nation was on 9/12 without having another 9/11. And as days go by, I think we are further and further away from that point, and that's very scary. And that's almost a tragedy in and of itself. But that's another topic for another time. So,
well, we could do my tick me off radio on that one.
Yeah. Anybody who's listening or wants to come on an episode or have an idea, please reach out to the show at Sportsbeat at mylittlefalls.com. We're trying to do some more outreach and get content that you want to see. So please email us with anything that you have. Coaches, staff, and players, please include us in your sports reporting at Sportsbeat at mylittlefalls.com. For updates, highlights throughout the week, find us on Facebook at Sportsbeat with Rob Drumm. For all of your local news, sports, and our podcast home, find us at mylittlefalls.com. For Rob Drumm, here with Dave Warner. We'll talk to you next week.